But beloved friends, there is no greater privilege in life than to walk in fellowship with the Spirit of God. Many ask, how do I talk to the Holy Spirit? How can I hear His gentle voice? The answer is not hidden in mystery, nor reserved for a few chosen people. It is a gift for every believer who desires intimacy with God. The Holy Spirit is not a distant power, not a mere influence, but a person who loves you, guides you, and longs to be your closest friend. Just as you speak to those you love with sincerity and openness, so too you can speak to Him. He listens, He responds, He teaches, He comforts, and He leads you into all truth. If you open your heart today, if you quiet your mind and lift your voice in prayer, you will discover that the Spirit is already near, waiting to converse with you, to direct your steps, and to fill your life with divine purpose. Today, let us step into this sacred journey of learning to talk with the Holy Spirit, for in His voice is peace, in His guidance is wisdom, and in His presence is life itself. The Holy Spirit is not someone far away, unreachable or hidden from us. He is near, closer than the breath we breathe, desiring to be known as our dearest friend. Many people think of Him only as a mysterious power or a silent presence, but He is a person with feelings, emotions, and a voice. To talk with Him, you must first see Him not as a stranger, but as a companion who walks beside you every moment of your life. Friendship begins with trust and openness, and in the same way, your fellowship with the Spirit begins when you approach Him with simplicity and honesty. You do not need eloquent words or religious language. You only need a sincere heart. Just as you would sit with a close friend and share your deepest concerns, your joys and your struggles, so you can open your heart to the Spirit and speak to Him as naturally as breathing. When you rise in the morning, acknowledge Him. When you walk through your day, speak to Him quietly in your heart. When you face decisions, ask Him to guide your thoughts. He delights in this constant communion, for friendship with the Spirit is not built in one dramatic encounter, but in daily conversations. He listens to every whisper of your soul, and though His responses may be gentle impressions, a quiet peace, or a sudden clarity, they are as real as words spoken by a friend sitting beside you. The beauty of talking to the Holy Spirit as a friend is that He will never condemn you, never grow weary of you, and never abandon you. Human friendships may fail, but His companionship is steadfast. He celebrates your victories and comforts you in your failures. He reminds you of truth when confusion tries to cloud your heart, and He whispers encouragement when the weight of life feels unbearable. The more you practice speaking with Him, the more natural it becomes, until His presence feels like the warm company of someone who knows you completely and still loves you endlessly. To talk with the Spirit is to walk in a friendship that transforms your loneliness into fellowship, your fear into confidence, and your uncertainty into divine direction. He is the friend who never leaves, the counselor who always speaks truth, and the companion who desires your trust above all else. To talk to the Holy Spirit, you must understand the language of prayer. Prayer is not just reciting words or repeating memorized lines. It is the living conversation of the heart with God's Spirit. True prayer is both speaking and listening. Many believers pour out their words, but forget that prayer is also about pausing, being still, and allowing the Spirit to whisper back. The Spirit longs to commune with you, not in a rigid or complicated way, but through the sincere cry of your heart. Even when words fail, the Spirit understands the sighs, the tears, and the unspoken desires within you. The language of prayer is not measured by eloquence, but by sincerity and openness. When you pray, approach the Spirit as you would a loving father and a trusted friend. Speak to Him about the smallest matters of your life as well as the greatest challenges. Nothing is too insignificant, for the Spirit is interested in all that concerns you. If you learn to lift every thought into prayer, you will discover that prayer becomes as natural as breathing, and you will live in constant communion with Him. But remember, communication is not one-sided. After you speak, take time to listen. In silence, in moments of stillness, the Spirit often gives gentle impressions, fresh understanding, or peace that surpasses explanation. These are His responses, His way of guiding you and assuring you that He is present. The more you practice this rhythm of speaking and listening, the clearer His voice becomes. At first, you may question whether it is truly Him, but over time, as you grow familiar with His presence, you will recognize His gentle leading as surely as you recognize the voice of a loved one. The Spirit delights in prayer, for it is the pathway by which He imparts strength, direction, and comfort. Through prayer, you align your will with God's will, and your heart becomes sensitive to divine wisdom. In every season of life, Whether in joy or in struggle, let prayer be your continual language. It is through this language that intimacy with the Spirit is built, and through it, you will discover that talking to Him is not reserved for holy moments in a church service, but for every breath, every step, and every decision of your life. Walking in daily fellowship with the Holy Spirit means living every moment with the awareness that you are not alone. It is recognizing that the Spirit is not reserved for special occasions or for the walls of a church, but is present in the ordinary flow of life. He desires to be included in your daily journey, the decisions you make, the conversations you hold, the work you do, and even the quiet thoughts of your heart. Fellowship is not built in a single moment. It is cultivated through continual relationship. Just as a close friend becomes part of your daily rhythm, the Spirit becomes part of your every step when you invite Him into your life consistently. This fellowship transforms the way you see the world. When challenges come, you no longer react in fear because you know the Spirit is guiding you. When opportunities arise, you no longer rely only on human wisdom because the Spirit imparts divine insight. Fellowship means leaning on His guidance in the small and simple things as much as in the big and difficult ones. If you train yourself to ask for His counsel in everyday matters, what to say, how to act, which path to take, you will begin to notice His fingerprints on your life. He does not speak only in thunder. Often His leading comes as a gentle nudge, a deep inner peace, or a quiet conviction that points you toward the right path. Daily fellowship with the Spirit also reshapes your character. As you walk with Him, you begin to reflect His nature. Kindness, patience, humility, and love become the fruit of His presence in you. You cannot remain the same when you live in constant communion with Him, for His holiness begins to shape your thoughts, words, and actions. Fellowship also brings joy, because you realize that life with the Spirit is not a burden, but a blessing, not a duty, but a privilege. The beauty of daily fellowship is that it makes the extraordinary feel natural. You no longer separate spiritual life from daily life, for every moment becomes spiritual when lived with Him. Talking to the Spirit, leaning on Him, and walking in step with Him is the secret to living a life filled with peace, guidance, and purpose that cannot be shaken by circumstances. Obedience and sensitivity are the keys that open the door to a deeper relationship with the Holy Spirit. Talking with Him is not only about pouring out our hearts, but also about responding when He speaks. The Spirit is gentle. He does not shout over the noise of our lives, but whispers to the heart that is willing to listen. Sensitivity is cultivated by tuning your inner ear to His voice, learning to recognize His gentle nudges, His quiet warnings, and His peaceful affirmations. At first, His guidance may feel subtle, like a soft impression or an inner prompting, but as you yield and respond, His voice becomes clearer. Sensitivity grows in the soil of obedience. Each time you act upon His leading, you strengthen your ability to hear Him again. Obedience is the proof of love and trust. When the Spirit prompts you to forgive, to encourage someone, to take a step of faith, or to turn away from what is harmful, your response determines how much more He can entrust to you. The more you obey, the more your spirit aligns with His will, and the more intimate your fellowship becomes. But if you resist His guidance, if you ignore His gentle voice, your heart may grow dull and His whisper harder to hear. This is why walking in sensitivity is essential. It keeps your heart tender and open to the movements of the Spirit. There are times when obedience may cost you something, perhaps your pride, your comfort, or your own plans, but in every act of surrender, you will discover that His way is better, His wisdom higher, and His timing perfect. Sensitivity to the Spirit means you are willing to pause in the middle of your busy day, willing to lay down your own ideas, and willing to follow even when you do not see the full picture. This is where true growth happens, when your steps are no longer governed by fear or human reasoning, but by the gentle leading of the One who knows the end from the beginning. To talk to the Holy Spirit is to live in a relationship where listening leads to obedience, and obedience deepens the bond. In this sacred cycle, His voice becomes your compass, and your willingness becomes His pathway to shape your life for divine purpose. Beloved, the Holy Spirit is not distant, not silent, and not unreachable. He is your friend who walks beside you, your teacher who guides you, your comforter who strengthens you, and your counselor who leads you into truth. To talk with Him is to open your heart in prayer, to walk with Him in daily fellowship, to listen with sensitivity, and to respond with obedience. If you make Him your constant companion, your life will never be the same. Confusion will give way to clarity, weakness will be replaced with strength, and emptiness will be filled with the joy of His presence. You will discover that every moment, from the simplest decision to the greatest challenge, becomes an opportunity to hear His voice and follow His leading. So I urge you today, do not wait for a perfect moment. Do not think you are unworthy. Do not believe He is far away. Begin now. Speak to Him as you are. Whisper your thoughts, share your burdens, open your heart, and listen for His gentle reply. For the Holy Spirit delights in communion with you, and the more you walk with Him, the more His voice will become the melody that guides your life. Let your days be filled with this unbroken fellowship, and you will know the beauty of walking hand in hand with the Spirit of the living God.